If you're wondering how to build a fragrance wardrobe, something like this, you might be wondering where you should get started. Fragrance wardrobes are always different depending on the person and what your preferences are. Of course, if you prefer tobacco, musky perfumes, you don't want to start with floral, fruity perfumes. You want to get something that you know you like and that you're going to wear. So, the first step for your fragrance wardrobe, don't go all out right away. Stay focused, figure out what you really want. So, if you know that you really like a certain category of fragrance, start there. But keep in mind that your preferred category may not be good for all occasions. So suppose you really like spicy, smoky, heavy sort of perfumes. Perfectly fine, but those sort of perfumes aren't going to be good for all occasions. You don't want to wear something super smoky and heavy when it's 90 degrees outside and you're going to the beach, You'll be drowning in this super heavy fragrance. Also, say a smoky perfume, usually it's associated with more evening or formal or mature sort of environments. And if you want if you want to go for an occasion that's a bit more casual, light, daytime, you're probably gonna want something different. So, to start, you gotta be aware that you're gonna need a variety of types that you enjoy, of course. Types that are good for different occasions, and different seasons, different times of the day, that sort of thing. So, suppose you want a go-to daytime fragrance. Think something more along the lines of something very agreeable, something that, don't go for a clubbing fragrance, don't go for a super somber fragrance. Try something a bit more upbeat, something that is still within your preferences, that is really good for the daytime. Then you could also think, obviously for the evening, something a more formal occasion, you're going to need a different perfume for that sort of thing. And people always differ depending on what kind of occasion this is. Are you going to an orchestra concert, something very formal? Or are you just going out for dinner with your friends? Are you going out to the club? Or, these are all very different occasions. And just because they're all sort of evening oriented doesn't necessarily mean that the same perfume is going to work for all those occasions. So you need to kind of play around a little bit and determine, alright, which perfume or perfumes do I need to pick? So, the other thing to consider, besides time of day and the formality of the occasion, is the weather, the season. Because hot weather and cold weather react very differently with certain perfumes. So, again, suppose it's very hot out, humid 95-degree day, or just general hot sunny day. You don't want to wear something that's really heavy or too pronounced or too clingy, because that'll just get amplified by the heat. It'll become just too overwhelming in the heat. And especially during the summer, you want something that will keep you refreshed and light. And for that reason, most people during the summer and just the hot months of the year prefer citrusy, light, kind of clean linen sort of fragrances, maybe some florals, maybe some fruity fragrances, because they don't react badly to the presence of heat or humidity, or especially if you're sweating, it's a really hot day, your skin is really hot, it's still gonna keep its light citrusy or just light in general feel, versus a smoky resinous amber fragrance, which will just become really kind of gooey and syrupy and too heavy. Versus cold weather is great for those heavier, muskier, smokier fragrances because it's cold, you're probably not going to be sweating, and it's better to gravitate towards warmer fragrances. Smoke notes, incense notes, resin notes are all very warm, woodsy notes, musk, all those are perfect for the autumn and winter because they're not going to react badly to the cold. In contrast, the same fragrances that were good for the summer are not going to be good for the winter, because they're just not going to stand out. They're going to be too cold, too just hard and unwelcoming on your skin when it's cold outside. So it's good to have a variety of perfumes for these different occasions. So once it starts getting cold, you can make a switch over to a warmer fragrance, and once it starts getting hot again, you can switch back to a lighter, sort of more refreshing fragrance. And you could also think of more niche occasions to get more specific bottles of perfume. You know, you might like to get together with friends and you want a certain perfume for that, or a certain perfume for date nights, or going to parties or clubs or stuff, you know, things like that. Or you going to the office, for example. You're not going to wear the same fragrance you would use clubbing at the office, because it wouldn't work. Completely different environment. So choosing these different occasions for different perfumes will also help you out building a fragrance wardrobe. And you don't need to have a huge collection of perfumes to have a nice, well-developed wardrobe. You can, for me, like 5 is a really good option, and because 5 gives you plenty of room to, you know, you got the cool weather fragrance, the warm weather fragrance, office fragrance, daytime fragrance, you know, whatever. So 5 is a good kind of central marker. You can have less, you can have more, just for experimentation. And if you have a lot of different occasions in your life, or you just really enjoy perfume, of course you can have more than 5. But you don't want to go crazy. You don't want to have 35 perfumes and you don't use 30 of them. You know, you don't use most of them. So it's just a good idea to, as long as you use what you buy, then you won't be wasting anything, and that's the ideal goal for any wardrobe. You don't want anything sitting around collecting dust, because it's just a waste of money and a waste of space. So as long as you have those tips in mind, you shouldn't have any trouble building a very nice and complete fragrance wardrobe. That's pretty much all I have to say about that topic. If you have any opinions about fragrance wardrobes or building them, or about fragrance in general, you can leave those down in the comments below. If you liked the video, leave a like, maybe subscribe, and I make videos throughout the week, so stick around for those.